or better when your sex life is better, I guess. Like it's all tied together, not to dance around the question, but when your sex life is good, it trickles over to every other part of your life and vice versa. When we can bond emotionally, it translates into every other part of our life as well. So everything works together. So when everything is on track, emotions and libido and being able to have that time together, when it all is working together well and in unison, it really just benefits the marriage overall.
I do love the benefits of how it affects people's marriages and relationships. I love when I can help a client get her libido back and feel like she is connected to her spouse again, because we do value marriage so much that I think that's crucial for women to get their hormones balanced so that it can benefit their marriage as well.
Hello and welcome to Married and Magnetic, the place for entrepreneurial couples who want to stay happily married.
In each episode, we have real conversations with ordinary couples doing extraordinary things, sharing achievements, everyday joys, challenges, and the mindset and tools that make love the greatest strategic edge.
We are James
And Angela Mitchell.
A real-life married couple. She's a counselor.
And he's a coach.
Parents to 3 kids.
And co-founders of Love Intentionally. We've ridden the highs
and lows
of building businesses while working hard to stay happily married. We've lived it, done the work,
got the t-shirt,
and are here to help you do the same.
This is Married and Magnetic, where love, business, and growth collide. Let's dive in, y'all. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Married and Magnetic, a Love Intentionally podcast. We're your hosts, James
and Angela.
And today we have Sabra and Chad Cawby. Sabra is an entrepreneur with her own functional wellness practice. She is a functional hormone specialist, functional nutritionist, and certified personal trainer. She helps women and a few men who feel stuck finally get answers using data-driven functional testing, personalized nutrition, and fitness plans so they can feel like themselves again. Her husband, Chad, is a chief for the local fire department. They have been married 20 years. They have 4 boys. They live in Florida. And they make their marriage a priority in the middle of all the chaos of busy schedules, business, and kids. Welcome to the show, Sabra and Chad.
Thanks
for having us.
Yeah. So love having folks like you on this who obviously are leading busy lives that I think so many of us can relate to with kids and careers and all of that. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What you do, your family situation.
Sure. So I started my business a little over 3 years ago and initially just started out helping people with nutrition and fitness. And I grew up in an entrepreneur family. My dad was an entrepreneur, still is an entrepreneur. And so I just saw the value of having your own business and the flexibility that it created. Also the stress that comes with it. But I just have always been in the healthcare field and working with people. And I really found a place that I loved with helping people with nutrition and fitness. And then ended up going a little bit deeper into the functional support and just really getting the full picture of people's overall health and wellness and how that affects people. And how it affects their ability to lose weight and also their relationships. When hormones start to go weird, things start happening in relationships and that affects people and their marriages. And so in the midst of having our own 4 kids and our own chaos, I started a business and just started, promoting what I was doing, and it took off really quickly.
Awesome. And Chad, how was that experience for you? So you are what we call the anchor. So the person with the more steady salary we'll go with, and often benefits and those kind of things that kind of hold down the fort, right? So how was that for you with Sabra going into business? Was it scary? Were you supportive? Like, what was that process for you?
It wasn't scary. I like to think I was supportive. But it was really interesting just to watch her business progress from what started out as just an idea and it slowly got a little traction. And then over the years has just really taken off, and watch her build it from, I think, what she thought she wanted it to be. And then kind of organically it just turned into what it is now. Being able to kind of sit back and just watch her. Like any husband, I give her the advice that she probably isn't asking for at the time, but I give it anyways, but she really doesn't need it. She's really done a great job just building this business and getting it to where it is today, and watching her grow and learn through it. Sitting back and watching has been really neat.
Beautiful. Now, Sabra, you said you grew up in an entrepreneurial household. Did you always want to be an entrepreneur? Is that something that came later, or did you not even really realize that there was another option?
I don't know that I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. My initial education was in dentistry, so I went to school for dental hygiene and I loved that career, but I didn't love being in an office, 4 or 5 days a week for 8 or 9 hours a day. So I think that it was kind of always there in the background that that wasn't for me to sit in one place all day long. Um, but I also think that because I did kind of help my dad with his business and I saw the ins and outs of it, I do think that helped give me the confidence to start my own business. When I was talking to another girl about how I got started, she said, I love how you just saw a need and you said, I'm going to start my own business. And she was like, that's not very common. And to me, it was. It was like, oh, you see a need, there's an opportunity, we're going to start a business and we're going to do this. And so it was kind of news to me, like, oh, this isn't how people operate. I thought that was kind of normal, but apparently not.
Yeah, I love that. Sounds like you have that entrepreneurial brain. James is the one that has that in our family. So I'm an entrepreneur by default because we're in business together. But yeah, I love that. Awesome. So like I said before, you all have, Chad, you are a chief at a fire department, which sounds like a very important job. And thank you for your service. And Sabra, right? You're running your own company, starting your own business, building your business. Then you also have 4 kids and prioritize your marriage. So the question is, how do you prioritize your marriage? How do you make sure you're staying connected with all of that on your plate?
Yeah, you can start that.
I would say that we always have made our marriage a priority from the very beginning. So we had a very strong foundation of prioritizing our marriage above our kids from the start. And we also try to set some boundaries. I try to just not do work after 5 o'clock. I try not to do much on the weekends, just having those things in place so that we're not overstretching ourselves and also making time for each other. We prioritize date nights and getting out, just the two of us. We also try to take at least one trip a year, just the two of us, to really reconnect and just have that time for us. So those, I would say, were the main things that help us.
So I heard date nights, one trip a year. Are there any daily rhythms or rituals that you try to hold sacred in your marriage to maintain connection?
I think we spend about an hour in the evening making sure that we are connecting before bed. We always are, putting the kids to bed and doing the nightly tasks and dinner and all that kind of stuff. But we do usually try to connect for at least like an hour or
Yeah.
two in the evening and talk about our day, talk about what's going on with each of us in our business or in my business and his job. There's always a lot of communication, so we're staying connected, I think, throughout the day, even just texting, how's your day going, and little things like that keep the communication open and connected.
So I want to highlight a few things that you said, Sabra, that I think are really important. I heard you say a few minutes ago that you prioritize your marriage over even your kids. I love that. We believe in that as well. And I know sometimes that can be a little bit of a controversial issue. Some people are like, oh, you got to put the kids first. And I just wanted to double click on that for a minute, because I do think that's important. What we have what we really strive to do is do that as well, because we feel like our relationship is the foundation of the family, right? And I always say the best gift we can give our kids is healthy, happy parents and a healthy, happy relationship, right? And so that is the best gift we can give them. If we get divorced, it's not good for them either, right? So we have to prioritize us first.
Your kids will always be your kids, but your spouse might not always be your spouse.
That's true.
They're not stuck with you in the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it sets a good message. It sends a good message to the kids too, that they see us putting each other first, and they're learning at even a young age, what a good, healthy marriage should look like just by watching the things that we do day in and day out. I know I took that from my parents. They've got a great marriage, and looking back now, you see kind of how they operated around you as kids, and you kind of pick up on that and carry it into your own marriage.
You jump straight into my curiosity, Chad. So you had a great model of that growing up. Sabra, did you also get that kind of a model from your parents?
That's
Wow.
beautiful. I feel like you're the rare people In the
Yeah.
whole United States where both of your parents were happily married?
Unfortunately, you're probably right.
And
Yeah.
honestly, they are very involved with our kids. So that is part of the reason that we can prioritize our marriage so much and take time away with just the two of us because they help us a lot. They love having our kids. They watch our kids for us. And I know a lot of people don't have that. So that can be very challenging to not get time away if you don't have that kind of support. But we are super thankful to have that.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think, we're lucky to have that too. We usually have at least one grandma that's willing to step in and help with the grandkids. And I think what you said before too about having that time at night after the kids go to bed to connect is something we do as well. And I think really important for couples that don't have the family support that they're still finding those ways to carve out the time. And yeah, I've had a long career as a counselor, and many of those years I was a school counselor. And I've always preached the benefits on multiple levels for putting kids to bed early. It's best for them and their health and their brain development and their emotional regulation. And it's also best for your marriage because then you have time after the kids have gone to bed to maybe do some self-care, to connect together. And that is so important for the whole family structure. Right. So I love that you do that too. And I do think for our listeners who maybe don't have the family support, that is a somewhat easy get then of, if we don't have a babysitter or family in town, we can at least have that time after they go to bed to connect. So great. Love that. So question then, sounds like you all stay pretty connected and have systems to do that. What are the signals maybe you notice when your relationship is needing more attention? Like what's the check engine light for you all that you go, oh, we need a date night.
Date night.
Yeah. I know for me, I'll start getting a little, chippy and short-tempered. If we're starting to become disconnected a little bit. She's really good about just grabbing me and giving me a hug. Like I think she can sense that pretty easily. It's a good, quick, easy reset. And it kind of just levels the playing field and is a good emotional reset, a good way to kind of check the chippiness.
Yeah, we both get a little short-tempered, and I think when there's a lot going on or there's extra chaos and extra stress, it can feel like we're moving in different directions. And so just making sure like we're coming back to us and we kind of got in the habit of being like, okay, it's you and me, we can do this. Like we need to make sure we're still moving in the same direction instead of opposite directions. And what can we work on to kind of make us come back to our center a little bit more? But we will, intentionally try to set up a date night coming up or just talk about, why are you feeling this way? Why am I feeling this way? And kind of make sure that we're on the same page.
Beautiful. Emotional intimacy, communication about how we're feeling, so vital. My curiosity, you both kind of mentioned this idea of being short-tempered, right? So the fuse is there, the frustration's a little closer to the surface. Does that short-temperedness, that's probably the right way to say that.
Is that a word?
Does being short-tempered stem from the lack of connection, or does it just stem from life's stresses and it's just exasperated from the lack of connection? What do you think the chicken or the egg there is in that
Yeah,
situation?
I think it stems mostly from life, from work, from the kids and all the other stresses of life. And then I think it has an impact on our emotional connection. It starts taking its toll on it. The short-temperedness isn't there because of our lack of connection, but it kind of can cause that because then you just get into this headspace and get caught in this rut where you're not focusing on the other person like you normally would. It starts to erode that.
Brilliant. So what I kind of heard you say is that life is going to create challenges and the short-temperedness and the overwhelm, regardless of how the marriage is, right? That's just what life does. But when you can make sure to prioritize your connection, you have more energy for whatever life is throwing at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got someone to
Yeah,
go through those issues with you instead of feeling like you're on your own, just waiting to come out the other side.
Mm,
brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah, the rocket fuel. Love that. Awesome. So what's one thing you would want listeners to walk away with knowing about you and your business, Sabra? Tell us about your business first, and then one thing. Let's jump into that.
I think that, okay, let me tell you about my business first. So I specifically help women primarily, and usually I'm checking hormones in lab work or any kind of just functional lab test where we can go through and figure out what's feeling off. Women often come to me just saying, I don't feel like myself. I've been to my doctor. They tell me everything's normal. but I know I don't feel right. Maybe my libido is going down. My husband and I are struggling because I'm not in the mood very often, or I'm struggling to lose weight and nothing's really working. What's going on? What can you figure out for me? So I often will run lab work and we'll check, a broad range of things, but a lot of times I'm looking at hormones. For women specifically, it can be testosterone starting to decline, and that's affecting their libido. It can be their cortisol is through the roof and their stress hormones are running their life. So they're in fight or flight all day long, and they're not really getting that good production of hormones to balance out everything else. I'm looking at gut health. Sometimes that's affecting hormones and how women feel. And if women don't feel good, they're also not fully themselves in their marriage either. I think that when we feel off and we're feeling tired and run down and like our energy's not there, we don't have anything else to give to our partner. And that creates more friction and more challenges in a married couple's relationship. So a lot of times I'm helping women get that libido back naturally if we're able to, and get out of that fight or flight situation, get their weight under control so that they're confident again in their body and feeling like they are not embarrassed, to be with the person that they love, even though they're feeling self-conscious in their body. And so I would say that's my primary person that I'm working with. And most women were able to really do some drastic changes in how they're feeling and getting their hormones back on track.
I love that. So I love too, I feel like what you do and the work you do brings this point home so clearly that I think previously people really separated physical health from mental health, from relational health, emotional health, right? They were seen as these separate things, right? You went to a doctor for this, you went to a counselor for this, right? And I'm a counselor, so I'm like, first, people come for the emotions. And I think what we're seeing now, and people are starting to realize more, is there's not this big distinction between them, right? That there our physical health and what's going on with our hormones and our gut health and all the things affect our emotional health, our mental health. They affect then our relationships, right? And there's not this distinct connection anymore. They're all playing together, right? And then our stress level, right? And so our emotional health, and if our relationship is stressed, it can actually create more cortisol in our body, which is then creating these other health symptoms, right? And so they're really all related. So I love that the work you do, I feel like, gets at some of the root, right, causes that's going to have this effect on all these different areas of our life. So
Yeah,
I
for
think that's
sure.
great.
Sabra, where does your passion for this work come from?
Well, this is a long story, but initially my passion for hormone support came from our own struggle with infertility when we first wanted to have kids, and just needing to understand my own hormones and what was happening and why I was struggling, why things weren't normal. And then we did go on to have 4 healthy boys, and I didn't really worry about hormones as much for a while because I had babies. I didn't really need to. Things seemed pretty normal. And then late 30s, I started to be really annoyed with a lot of things he was doing.
Can you
And
believe it?
Chewing loudly because James
chewing
chews.
loudly, yes.
Breathing, yeah, there was a list.
There was a lot of
Breathing.
things. And I was like, what is
Existing.
happening? Yeah, we are best friends. He's my favorite person. I would spend every waking minute with him. So I'm like, why is he getting on my nerves so easily all of a sudden? And I felt the disconnect, and I felt like it was beyond my control. And even though we were on trips, we were doing all of our normal things, it still felt like within me, it just wasn't the same. And so knowing what I knew about hormones, I said, I need to figure this out. There's something here that's off. So I ran my own labs and found that my own testosterone was super, super low, and my hormones were off. There was a lot of things going on internally for me, and it all kind of made sense. It was like, oh, this isn't my fault. I'm not choosing this. We're not just drifting apart. It's actually something internal with me that was off. And so once I got that back, it was a game changer. We were good, everything was normal, there wasn't this disconnect and things feeling off. But I hear from so many women now something just doesn't feel right. I can tell my libido's not there and I love my husband, but what is happening? There's just something that has happened when I've hit, late 30s, early 40s, where things just seem different. And I think that educating myself and making sure that I was fully aware of what was happening to me also made me very passionate to make sure that other women understand that this isn't just a time in your life where you're like, I don't love my husband anymore. You do still love him, but physiologically something's off. And that's what makes you feel like that connection is not there. And they talk about, when perimenopause hits and menopause hits, that's when a big spike happens in divorces. And I think it really is related to the hormonal shift that happens more than anything. And our inability to handle the stress as easily as we used to because the hormones are all off. So we start to think that it's external factors when really it's internal factors that are affecting us and making us feel disconnected, even though we might still love the person. We start to have these different things happening with our hormones that we're not, a lot of people aren't aware that that's what's starting to happen.
Yeah. Couple things. I love that you have a personal journey within this that has then created the passion. I find that often people who have gone through it themselves and then go on to help others with it, they just have a deeper understanding for what their clients are going through, and then this added passion, right? Because they've been through it themselves. So I love that. That's part of your journey and why you got into this work. And also, I was going to say with the libido thing too, and perimenopause, and I've even seen it with couples happen right after they have a baby, right? And hormones are all over the place and breastfeeding. And what can happen sometimes too is then the partner, the male partner usually in this case, unless they're not understanding all the hormonal shifts, right? And so they take it personally as well. Well, they're not attracted to me anymore. I feel rejected. They don't want me anymore, right? So then they can go into their own spiral, right, around that. And then these two, people are in their own spirals that are just like feeding each other spirals, right? If that makes sense. And it can really take the relationship in a negative way.
So yeah, on that note, Chad, as she was going through this process to get her hormones in check and be able to come back to her center, what were you doing to take care of yourself during that time to make sure that you could continue to show up solid and loving to her?
Well, it was kind of tough because, like Saber said, not knowing what was going on. I knew, like, we were still in love. She still loved me. That nothing had changed, but there was a change in that I noticed too, and we talk about it too. And you mentioned like we loved to go on trips. She loved to fly. There's these weird things that would pop up, like having a near panic attack in an airplane that was all hormonal. Like that was super weird. Like just feelings of not feeling right and me not knowing what to do with that. Like I don't know how to support that, how to speak into that. Like, as a guy, I'm a fixer, right? And I didn't know how to fix any of that. So it was, it was tough to sit back and watch. So, you try to be supportive, but you don't really know how. So I think that just adds to the spiral, like you talked about, that like she's going through something. I want to help her. I don't know how. So now you feel like you're just in this like rut and that you can't get out of, and it keeps going down.
I do think that I mean, I don't know if I did a good job, but I tried to communicate about what I was feeling and kind of
Yeah, you
some of the
did. Yeah.
details of like what I was internally going through. So he understood like this feels off to me too, but it's not you. It's something within me. And I was not gonna just sit around and let people tell me like, oh, you're fine. I would go to a couple doctors and tell them like, hey, I think something's going on here. And they're like, well, all your labs are normal. And I'm like, this is not normal for me. Like, I don't understand why I feel this way. So until I was able to keep pushing and like get answers and get my body back in balance, it was just a constant like doing our best to communicate with each other how we were each feeling and making sure that I was just as open as I could be about what was happening in my mind and just in my body.
Yeah, and I think that was key. That she acknowledged it to me. It wasn't just something that was happening that was blown off, and we just tried to force our way through it. She acknowledged it. We talked about it, Yeah, and I think that was key. I didn't even know what perimenopause was until a couple of years ago. I never heard the term, So if we didn't have those conversations, I'd still probably be in the dark.
Yeah. Did you pick up a couple extra shifts at work during that time?
No, that would have made things way worse.
Okay.
Yeah, and I imagine, on that point about communicating, I would imagine the work you do, Sabra, helps give even women, we don't always know what's going on inside ourselves. Like you said, like, I don't know, his chewing is just really annoying all of a sudden.
I think she needs to work with you.
I also may or may not have almost had a panic attack on a hike yesterday.
yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I was relating to your airport story. Anyway, is that women oftentimes we just know, and I've heard people say this, I've heard doctors say this, that oftentimes the first sign of perimenopause is women saying, I just feel off, right? Like that's their first symptom. I don't know what it is. I just feel off. And that we don't always have an understanding or language to talk about what's going on. And I imagine in your work, it is also giving women language to then share with their partner. Well, here's what I found out. On my labs, my testosterone was low, which is affecting my libido. So it's not you. It's not that I'm not attracted to you, all these things. And that giving that language to then help them communicate to their partner also goes a long way in helping to stabilize the situation, and decrease maybe some of the tension that their partner is also feeling around the changes they're experiencing. So question for you, how long, and this can be for your situation personally.
I'd actually be curious, like how long did it take you to right the ship, so to speak, from when you noticed that you weren't like something was off, and then how long does it take the average client of yours to do that same process?
Well, I think for me it was relatively short compared to what most people go through because I was already in the hormone space and really like understanding hormones a little bit. So I would say it was probably less than 6 months.
I would say probably sooner than that. Once you kind of
Yeah,
pinpointed
maybe
what you
even like
need to work
3
on.
or 4. But most women can go almost a year or more. They go to several doctor's appointments. And I even just had clients within the last week. I had 3 women tell me, I've been to several times to the doctor and they tell me I'm too young to be in perimenopause and my hormones look fine. I'm like, let me see your labs. So when they come to me, it's a much shorter process because I'm already aware of what's happening and I know what they need and we can get things moving faster. Usually once we can address whatever the problem is, it can be less than 6 months to get women kind of back on track. But if they're kind of jumping around from doctor to doctor and they're being told you're normal, you're too young for perimenopause, like they could go years, and a lot of times they're just being offered anxiety medications or antidepressants, which is not truly treating the root cause. If you're given an anxiety medication or an antidepressant, it's actually going to make your libido worse. So your stress is going to come down, but your libido is not going to get any better, which I do often see. And then the longer you're on those medications, the harder it is to come off of them. So that can be a slippery slope. There's nothing wrong with those medications. There's nothing wrong with going on them if that is going to be life-saving for you and feel like that's really going to make a big difference. But it's not going to address the root cause, which is often a hormonal imbalance. So like I said, when they come to me, it can be a little bit quicker, but a lot of times women are, trying to get answers and just seeking everything that they can. And some doctors are just not educated in this area.
Do you work with a lot of entrepreneurial women who are trying to manage a business, figure out their relationship, and grow in a certain way, but also having these issues?
I don't know that I have a lot of entrepreneurial women. I have a lot of moms. I have a lot of working women, but not necessarily, I can't think of any specifically that are also entrepreneurs.
Kind of feels like that subset of woman might be hit a little bit harder
Yeah.
because if they're not feeling great here and then the marriage, like the domino effect. And
It's hard
so
to show up in your business then if you're not feeling,
yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like there's a ton of benefits to the work that you do, helping people feel like themselves and come back online. What do you think? And Chad, I'm also going to pose this to you, right? Let's actually start with you, Chad. Of all the benefits that you've experienced from Sabra's own personal journey and getting her hormones dialed in, as well as everything else, what's been the biggest benefit to your marriage?
I mean, as the guy, I think you started with me for a reason. The increase in libido is a big benefit, right? Often the men and the women are unmatched, and that's just how you know how the things normally are. So there's definitely an increase to our libido, and I think our sex life improved a lot. You know, everything is good or better when your sex life is better, I guess. Like it's all tied together, you know, not to dance around the question, but when your sex life is good, it trickles over to every other part of your life and vice versa. You know, when we can bond emotionally, it translates into every other part of our life as well. So everything works together. So when everything is on track, emotions and libido and being able to have that time together, when it all is working together well and in unison, it really just benefits the marriage overall.
I think that's what James was hoping you would say.
I figured.
I'll send you that
You
$5.
started with me for a reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that feels accurate. Sabra, is that the same experience from your feminine side of this? Is that one of your favorite parts of this work, or is there anything else that's really like helping you to really enjoy, or the feedback you're getting from your clients in terms of like, this has really been the best benefit or of the best benefits for me?
I do love the benefits of how it affects people's marriages and relationships. I love when I can help a client get her libido back and feel like she is connected to her spouse again, because we do value marriage so much that I think that's crucial for women to get their hormones balanced so that it can benefit their marriage as well. I do also have a really soft spot for people with infertility that come to me, because that's something we struggled with. So both of those are really near and dear to my heart, because I think it just has such a significant impact. But I also still love, you know, the weight loss stories and the women that get their self-confidence back, and maybe their hormones aren't off. Maybe they just need to lose some weight and feel better in their body. And that's also going to translate into their relationships and their marriages. So I love all of it. Honestly, when I get like texts from clients with wins and all the things, it makes me so happy. And a lot of it I share with him, because we talk a lot about, you know, our wins and my business and his career, and we talk about all those things, not obviously all the intimate details of my clients, but when I get a win, you know, that I can share with him, then I love just having that to celebrate together.
Love that. So, Sabra, what is the best way for people to work with you, find you?
Sure. So you
They've
can
loved
find
this.
me. You can find me on my website. It's my first and last name, sabracawbywellness.com. And on Instagram, it's the same, Sabra Cawby Wellness. And then I'm also over on Facebook. I have a business page, Sabra Cawby Wellness. So those are all great ways. Initially, there's an application on my website. There's also a hormone symptom quiz that can kind of help guide us into what might be going on, what hormones might be off. So we can go from there as to what testing we need to start with.
Great. And we will put those links in the show notes to your website so people can easily find you. It sounds like this work you're doing is, well, personally, I'm just very interested because I'm in that age. And I'm sure James is interested in but yes, I think it's really important work you're doing for all those reasons, like you said, for the self-confidence, the feeling like yourself again, and then also the effects that has on your marriage and relationship. And I also just want to compliment you all on building this solid marriage in the midst of careers and entrepreneurship and 4 kids. I mean, we only have 3 kids, and it is a lot of children to have.
It's a lot.
Someone's always needing you.
Yeah. Once you get past 3, it's just more noise.
Yeah. It's like it goes to zone defense,
Yeah.
right?
You can do 3, you can do 4, you can do 5.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we're not. Other people can.
No, you're done? No more 4. You can go 5. Come on. So thank you for being here. We love to close out these with just a few rapid fire trivia questions. Fun, help us get to know you a little bit.
I'm pretty competitive. For a prize.
That's right. But question number 1. What does your spouse call you?
Big.
Okay.
Babe.
Okay. Well,
Yep, love that one.
who's the bigger baby when sick?
I don't know.
I think we're both pretty tough.
Okay.
Both pretty
Both
tough.
tough. All right.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Who's the first to apologize after a fight?
We don't fight very much, but I think it's me.
I would say me.
Oh, you
See, now we're going to fight.
We should have a fight about this. Yeah. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us who apologizes first, and that'll be the official winner. And then who makes the bed in the morning?
I'll make the bed.
No, make the bed.
We
How many
get out and
pillows do you
go,
have?
flip the sheets and hit it.
Just gonna get back in it, later on that day, right?
Brilliant, y'all.
Awesome.
That's the end of our rapid fire, and that wraps this amazing episode with Sabra and Chad. We're so grateful that you're here, and we are so grateful that you took the time to listen to this, and we hope that you walked away with so many amazing nuggets. You were able to see yourself in their story and see some ways that they can help you out. So check out the show notes, go take the quiz, check out their Facebook page, and just follow along on the journey and join it as you wish. Also, if you like this episode, please like and share with your friends and your family and the people that you care about and you want to stay happily married. With that, we thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Sabra. Thanks,
Yeah,
Chad.
thanks for having us.
Awesome.
All right.